do it. So
That's all right. You can probably just do it right here.
yeah, right. But yeah, anyways,
Shoot one of those stick things.
yes, that'd be fun. That would work too, right?
Does that have an official name?
The stick thing.
The clacker.
I don't know. It's
They
like
call it the clap.
we need to get.
You need to get the clap.
This podcast needs the clap.
That's catchy.
No kidding.
Possibly in the wrong circles.
Maybe views are views. But they say no.
No publicity is bad.
There it is. Yeah. That's funny. But anyway, yeah. So before we kind of get rolling, for the folks that are watching that don't know who you are, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name's David Riethmiller. I'm a photographer in the area. I kind of grew up in Sylvania for most of my life. And which camera should I be looking at? This one doesn't.
Oh, this is you over here. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Whatever.
Talk to me if
I'll
you
talk to
want.
you actually.
You can talk to me.
Right.
You can talk to the audience and any of the cameras. Do whatever you want. Yeah.
I grew up in Toledo for most of my life.
Okay.
Lived in New York for about 4 years when I was younger.
Okay.
And then, grew up here, went to school, kind of went away for a little bit to kind of figure out what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And lived in Michigan for a little bit, and then I lived in Indianapolis for a little bit, and then I came back.
So you're well traveled.
In the Midwest.
Yeah, but still.
Midwest, yeah.
It's a weird thing. I don't know if it's just the Ohioan in me, but like, as soon as you said like, yeah, I lived in New York for a while. You guys have like an aura kind of like you. Like I could see you in New York, but we're like myself or my brother. I'd be like, yeah, you guys don't belong here. You guys are definitely
Midwest.
tourists. Like,
I haven't moved around too much, but I can tell it's weird. Like every place that I've been to, I've noticed there's a different vibe and a different way people communicate.
Sure.
Not just accent wise, but just like how they communicate with each other. It's all different. So until you plug into that, it's different. That's something I just noticed. But
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate? Because that's kind of cool to think about. Because like I get the accent thing, but even like I've never really thought about like mannerisms.
Yeah,
it's
a pace of how they think, the pace of how they live.
Yeah.
And some of the faster places, pace places, they just have shorter fuses.
Yeah.
Than some of the other. So when I lived up in Novi for a little bit. People were a little bit on the go. They're very rude at first, and then I lived there for a while. And I'm like, oh, they're not so bad. And I think I just adapted.
You also
so
became
I was
very rude.
I was a jerk. Turned into a jerk, not by
Every time
on
you come home
purpose.
for the holidays, like, dude, he's changed.
He's changed, yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty funny, man. So, what as far as schooling and things like that, I mean, first of all, if no one has seen his work is awesome. Like,
Thank you.
That's why I had to have you come on. Like, we recently did the Dancing with the Realtors event, and I had a few folks that like were recording from the crowd, and I'm like, oh, this looks great. And then I saw the video that you produced, and I was like, Jesus, that looks so clean.
Thank you.
Like it was seamless, and like some of the ramp ups and stuff you did as you were kind of like swiveling around us, it looked fantastic. Like,
Thanks. Yeah, you did awesome, by the way.
thank you. I
You
appreciate
got robbed. You should have won.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, stylistic. The Barbie theme. It was genius.
Yeah. Well, that's okay. So, like, to be fair, I kind of told my wife, and I was like, you know what? We had a lot of fun. Her background is she's been cheerleading since like, she could move.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
She did that cartwheel.
Yeah, she did it no problem. And then like the like kick up thing that we tried to do was definitely on me. But when we were doing like choreography stuff, it was like the two choreographers and her basically just trying to like, I felt like I was at physical therapy. Like they're just all helping me walk. So, but it did turn out good. And I was pretty happy about it. But I'm glad at least.
Yeah, you did
myself
great.
feels
I don't
that,
know
yeah.
how. I mean, I couldn't personally do something like that. I just,
Sure.
it's just like, one, I can't dance. And
Yeah.
then two, I have all those eyeballs on you. It's got to be intimidating. But you guys did great. And
The way that I kind of did it, because that's not like my comfort zone. I've done stuff like that in the past. So like my first job, while I was in high school, I was teaching karate.
oh, nice.
So like those kind of competitions and stuff, it's just like a little bit of that where it's like
Right.
when you're playing sports, it's you and your team out there. Everybody's watching the team.
Right.
But with the karate thing, it's like it's just you, and they
Right.
have like their dances that they kind of do. They're called katas, where they like showcase their moves and things like that. So.
Yeah, but also, I think it was a little bit more difficult what you did because when you're doing katas and stuff like that, when you're younger,
Mhm.
right, you have a bunch of parents and, you know, it's not really pressure. But
Right.
when you did the Dancing with the Realtors in front of all your peers,
Sure.
you know, that's a whole nother ball game.
Oh, I agree.
I think you got a lot of respect for it, for doing
I
it.
appreciate it. It was funny. Like, I would say after the first, somewhere between the first and the second act, I was at the bar and the lady goes, "You're getting another drink," and I was like, "I'm going last, and I don't do this."
Yeah.
So that's one.
Yeah.
And two, why don't you leave the dancing to me
Yeah.
and you just let me get some drinks? Like, I needed it. So
don't
honestly, I
blame
picked
you.
a spot in the wall and just stared at it. So like, I wasn't looking at anybody in the eyes, because then I'd be like, "Oh my god, they didn't see me."
Just you didn't drop your wife or something like that, you know.
I was so nervous. So like, one of the moments, like when we did the backflip, she is so like, "Oh, we'll just do full go," because she's done stuff like that forever.
Yeah.
She's like, we don't need to practice it that much. We just full go. I'm like, no, for me, I need to practice that, because
Yeah.
like, I don't have like the turn it on switch. So like when we hit that, I was like, oh, we're chilling. The rest of it's nothing. So I practiced a ton. Like, I was like, I feel like I was getting ready for like a dance recital as a little kid. Like, I'm in my
Yeah.
living room, like doing these dances to Barbie. Like,
It doesn't help that those little girls went before you guys.
and they were
And they were
killers,
killing
dude.
it. Yeah,
they
they
were
were.
so good.
Yeah.
Like, I peeked out from back there and I just saw like the one little girl just out there like
Yeah, by
sassing it
herself.
up. Yes.
She must have been, what, 6? I know- no,
Seriously.
7?
Whatever it
She's probably a
was, it's
little
still
older.
impressive. It was nuts.
But she was killing it.
Yeah, those girls are just bred different, man. I feel like that's why I kind of was ready to be a part of that world, just knowing my wife's background.
Yeah, no, it's great.
And I was kind of, I have 2 boys, but I was hoping kind of for like a little girl, because I could be like the
Yeah.
glitter dad. I was kind of ready for that, but
Really.
but yeah, I mean, that was a ton of fun. Have you done like any events? I mean, like similar to
So-
that or anything like that, or
Yeah, I did actually. I've done a few different things. So
Okay,
I do about 98% real estate.
okay,
And then the other 2% I get pulled to do other stuff.
Mhm.
Just, you know, I know people, so
Sure.
they ask me, and, you know, I only do it if I know them, you know,
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the most part. I don't really advertise it. If I do like a wedding, I
Yeah.
tell them not to tell anybody else I do wedding.
sure,
But I did one event recently for a guy named Bishop Culp, if you're familiar. He's a pastor in Toledo,
Okay.
very well-known pastor, and he was doing a retirement party. But this guy was very involved in politics. So we had senators, we had Congress people there, we had city government all there. And
Yeah.
500 people in this place down at a hotel down in downtown.
okay,
And I was the only guy there. You know, I had one other person with me, actually, but she was doing photos. So I was in the middle of this banquet hall with 500 people. I had a camera in my right hand and a camera in my left hand. It was crazy. I didn't know really what I was signed up for.
sure.
But I was doing video with one, and I was taking photos with the other, and it was just insane.
That's
but
awesome.
I've done that, and the job also kind of took me in another direction that I never thought I was going to be doing. But I did a tribute video for a gentleman that had passed away.
Okay.
The family, I kind of knew the family. She knew my work. She asked me. I said, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So we did a testimonial video of all these people that had stories about this
Oh, that's nice.
particular individual. I didn't know the person, but at the end of the process of interviewing everybody, I felt like I knew him.
Sure.
So I delivered it, and but yeah, so I get pulled different areas sometimes.
Those things are important. That's a nice thing. Like our grandfather passed away in January, and
Sorry to hear that.
he I mean, it stinks, but it was time. I mean, he lived a long life. He was almost 90.
Yeah, it's
And
life.
yeah, and he was at home. It wasn't anything like, you know, he was kind of just, you know, he was in his bed, you know, it was a
Yeah.
nice thing.
right.
But those kind of stories and stuff, there's a movie that, you ever see Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl?
No,
Highly recommend it.
Me,
It's
Earl, and the Dying Girl.
Me, like Me,
Oh.
Earl, and the Dying Girl.
Okay.
Like, it's 3, yeah, so there's a bit in the movie where they're talking about that stuff.
Mhm.
And how, like, when you get to a funeral kind of setting, you
Mhm.
almost learn more about the person than you already knew,
Yeah,
because
Right,
like
right.
you get that perspective. Like, you know, you have your own like perception of who you are.
Yep.
But now I have one of you.
Right.
But then like your mother might have a different one.
Yep.
But then when you get to that funeral and you get like these testimonials from people,
Yep.
you get to kind of bottle all that up and really learn who the person was. And
Yeah.
it's just super cool. Like I get into all that stuff. Like that's why I'm glad to have you on, because I'm just really into like storytelling and like videography and things like that, or just in photography.
Yeah.
It's just another
you'd be
form
into
of
that.
Yeah.
Because you're 100% right. That's what I learned doing this video, because he had childhood friends, he had relatives,
Mhm.
he had people that had other relationships with him,
Mhm.
and that one person, but many people to other people.
Yeah.
So you really get into the true essence of who that person really is, the
Yeah.
many layers, and that's kind of rewarding if you like storytelling.
Sure. But I mean, even like the other stuff, like the real estate, you're kind of doing the same thing. You're kind of
Yeah.
telling a story about this house as you walk through it.
Yeah, when I am doing a piece for an agent, I
Mhm.
always try to do my best to represent the client,
Mm-hmm.
the homeowner,
Right.
and then secondly, make sure that the agent is well represented.
Yeah.
So I'm the last in line. I don't really care about. I don't even advertise what I do.
Sure.
But my goal whenever I talk with any homeowner is I tell them my job is to help you guys get as much money as possible for this place and
Yeah.
represent it, because it means something to them.
Sure.
So I was talking with somebody earlier today. The difference between how I approach things and maybe other people is that when I do stuff, it's not a transactional type event.
Mhm.
I look at the long-term relationship.
Sure.
I look for meaning. So if I'm creating a piece for a homeowner, I keep in mind they probably have tons of memories there.
Oh yeah.
Child, raising their children,
Mhm.
whatever. So in a way, it's kind of like not a funeral process, but like a mourning in that sense, maybe
Yeah.
to the homeowner.
Yeah. Like
So I try to do as much justice to the place as possible, because that's something they can carry to their next home.
yeah.
If the agent gives them
Or even just from a
Content.
separate from a marketability standpoint, it's like it's not real different. It is, but it's not real different than the testimonial video you did. If they've been there for however many years,
Yeah.
even if it's not a long period of time, you still have memories there. You know what I mean? Like
it
So
means something.
even the stuff you were showing me before we got started, like comparing it to my own, even though you were kind enough to say that it looks good, it's kind of crude because your transitions and stuff are just so smooth and delicate, and it really kind of feels like a personal like journey through the house. It feels like almost like a breeze going through it. Where mine, you can feel me like walking through the house. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, I mean, but to be fair to you, I mean, you're not you don't do this all
Sure.
the time. Even if you were like, I don't know anything about like your real estate side,
Mhm.
but if you did a ton of properties, right?
yeah,
I'm still going to do more than you because I deal with a bunch of different
right,
agents.
right.
So I have more practice doing it.
That's fair.
Yeah.
But even so, I mean, your stuff stands
You're
out.
doing it more than other people. That's all I gotta say.
I'm glad. It was funny. I did one earlier today, a video walkthrough, and
Yeah.
it was pretty windy out,
Yeah.
and that stinks. So
Yeah.
I popped in the truck and looked at it, and I could just see like this little bit of my hair, just like I'm like, oh well, I guess I'm doing that doing that take again, and I don't do. I've seen some of the stuff where you're kind of like reaching out to agents. Like some of your reels and stuff like that on Facebook, but
Yeah.
otherwise with your work, do you hop in front of the camera at all?
No, I'm very low key about what I
Okay.
do. I don't really. I've never been one for attention
Sure.
or praise or hey, look at me. That's not really who I am.
Yeah.
But I put my content out there so people can get an idea of what I do.
Yeah.
But most people, I think, kind of have an idea of what I do, and then if they look me up, then they can dig deeper and see kind of what I do.
Sure.
So
I just asked because when I do hop in front of the camera, and I try not to have a script because there's one video I did where you can see me like
yeah,
looking off camera. So I try to just like, just get it out. And it's funny. I should start saving more
it's
of the
not easy, right?
It's not easy, but I should still save some of the outtakes because that's the funny bit where it's a lot of MFers and calling myself stupid. Like, but I'm still holding the phone in my hand, and it's just
But I think that's okay because I think
Yeah.
that's that's authentic.
Yeah,
It's real.
sure.
You know.
Yeah.
And sometimes being too perfect is not the best.
No, I agree,
So.
and that's why it's a lot of fun. I have one that I saved where I was doing like an open house video. One of the first ones I tried to do, and ironically enough, we went door knocking like 15 minutes later.
Was door knocking easier than being on film?
I mean, it's all kind of easy to me, anyways. I mean, it's just what I was having trouble with was like remembering what the whole script that I had done. So ever since then, again to your point, being perfect isn't necessarily what needs to happen. So now I don't mind like cutting.
So when I do stuff, I actually use teleprompters and stuff. So
Okay.
I have so some of my agents, I have teleprompters, lighting, mics, all that stuff. And then it looks really polished when we do it. But then, you know, I don't recommend doing 100% polished all the time. Because people want to make sure that you're real and, you know, that they want to know that you do mess up and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I don't think that stuff's that big of a deal.
Yeah.
The but
variety of stuff.
Even so, I've also like as far as like the final product, I've gotten more comfortable with like it not being one long thing.
Yeah.
Where I'm okay, like,
Yeah.
here's the address, cut.
Yeah.
Here's what you're gonna like about it, and then what I'll do is I'll walk through the house, and then I'll do the voiceover. So I'm at the house probably 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I'll
right.
get out, and then I'll just do like a voiceover of like some of the amenities in the area with the house and things like that, and then, you know, out of there. But no, it's a lot of fun. Mine is certainly not telling any kind of story really, compared to like yours. What are how did you land on real estate? Because I think that your skills they would probably transition to the cool stuff that you said that you do.
Yeah.
And you could probably, I would think excel in any kind of genre of photography or videography.
That's a great thing about photography.
Sure.
I mean, you know, I was thinking, this is just between us, right?
Sure.
So, you know, long term for me at least is I want to go to Puerto Rico.
Okay.
And retire.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was thinking, well, I could actually go and do this in Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I could do this anywhere, by the way. But, you know, what I like about Puerto Rico is that I can actually, because there are so many facets of photography, real estate's one of them. But if I'm in an island, a destination place, I could do family photos. I can do, you know, photo shoots of any kind.
Tourists, whatever. Yeah.
So I can always make money doing what I do if I have a camera in my hand. And what makes me kind of dangerous is that I can do everything. I can do photos and video and drone and all that stuff. So as long as you know the skills, it's kind of like in education. You get an education.
Sure.
You're able to do pretty much anything. So
we kind of talked a little bit about it off camera.
Yeah.
Explain why you being able to be hands-on on every aspect of what you do is kind of important versus like maybe other companies that have, like you said earlier, like a photo guy, a drone guy, a video guy.
Right. So what I always tell people is the most important thing. If I was an agent, you want to have a relationship with a photographer, a content creator, right? That understands you, your vision, you know, what's acceptable to you as an agent to represent you. Because at the end of the day, we represent you, right? The benefit of going with somebody that can do everything, right? Photos, floor plans, you know, video, drone, whatever, is that you know the quality is going to be consistent. If you ever have any issues where maybe someone just does photos but they don't do video, you know, you don't have to wait on that other person to get in there. And also, you know, if you deal with one person, you can trust like me to give me an example versus if someone does photos and another person does video, you don't know the other person that does video. Right. You don't know their quality of work. You know, you don't know if they run their mouth at the home, right, and make you look bad for whatever reason. So these are all already a ton of variables, you know, outside of your control. And as you know, in real estate, all you guys deal with on a daily basis are variables. So I say control the things that you can control. Like if you find a good videographer or photographer that can do everything, establish a relationship, because if something goes wrong or if the house owner doesn't like this, you only have one person to call.
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And if they are running the show or whatever, they can easily quick fix or modify whatever needs to be done, no problem. But if I have to bring in Tom because he does video and
Right.
Tom's at another site and, I can't do anything because I just do photos,
Right.
then you're at a standstill. And the same thing with your homeowner.
Yeah. And that's the first question you get when you sit down for a listing, or not the first, but it's one of the questions once you're kind of wrapped up, like, okay, what's next? A photographer, because very few people are going to go into the Rolodex and be like, let me call my real estate photographer, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Because most people don't buy and sell homes that frequently for them to have that on file, so they're going to come to us and complain.
Yeah, right. They're going to complain to you because they know you. They have that relationship with you. But if you have a relationship with a company that has 4 or 5 people running around doing different things, it complicates things on your end.
Right.
And it could make the agent look incompetent, even though you're not, to the homeowner because they're like, it's video, why don't you just fix it? And it could be something simple, but if you can't reach whoever, that could
jam
be an
it
issue.
all up. Right.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree.
With my process, I make things super easy for my agents. They call me, they tell me the day. I go there, they know me, so they don't have to worry about. I always tell people, the most important thing about what I do, if you're getting started, is not really how well do you operate a camera. It's whether or not people can trust you.
Sure.
Yeah, because
100%.
it's this whole process is built on integrity and trust.
Oh yeah.
And if they may trust you, the homeowners may trust you, but if I do something stupid and screw it up,
it's going to damage.
That's
going to
reflect on you, right?
100%. Yep.
So you got to know the people that you work with are dependable, trustworthy, and everything else can be handled after that.
Yeah.
But I make things super easy. They tell me when, where I go. They tell me what they want done. It's delivered next day, 8 o'clock in the morning. Done.
Love that. It's nice because, especially when you're going into those meetings, anyways, and knowing that you have what I refer to as your team.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You don't have to think about it twice. Oh, this is my guy.
Right.
You can use whoever you want, but this is my guy. So
yeah.
If you're hiring me, it would behoove you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And a lot of that has to do with consistency. For the agent knowing, okay, this person's going to go in. They're consistent. They're gonna. This is the quality that they're gonna deliver. It's something they don't have to worry about.
Yeah.
It's peace of mind.
Do you recall what your first camera was?
My first what?
Camera.
Oh, camera? Yeah, that was a Nikon D750. I'm a Nikon guy.
Okay.
I switched to Sony for a hot second.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then I have so much gear tied into Nikon that I was like, okay, I'm just going to go back to Nikon because they had better equipment at that time. So I flipped back to Nikon and sold my Sony.
So you have what are some of the, I guess it's just lenses and all of it, right?
Yeah.
If you had to guess and put a price on, what do you have now?
Oh, geez. I have probably about 50 grand of equipment,
That's awesome.
Easily.
Why did you get that first camera? Was it for video or was it for
It was
photography?
For photos. For photos, yeah.
What were you kind of interested in taking pictures of?
So, what I love taking pictures of, I'll show you actually later, but I love landscape.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's my true passion, landscape. And then portrait is okay, but the difference between portrait and real estate is that, I could take a picture of you, and as you are, the way you look, I can do everything right. But if the image I produce to you doesn't match the one in your head of what you look like,
sure,
it's a 50-50 chance that you're gonna like it.
Yeah.
Now throw in weddings at
sure
at this point, and it's the most important day of some person's life.
Yeah.
And you got a 50-50 chance that it's going to work out.
That they're going to like the way they look.
Yeah.
And all you're doing is capturing the moment.
Yeah,
right?
capturing what you look like.
Yeah.
And so I don't like those odds.
Sure.
But real estate, I love doing. Most of the time, I'm actually in a house playing with dogs or listening to music, and it's pretty stress-free. I've shot so many homes I can just know how much time I'm going to be at a house and how far I got to drive to the next one, and then It's easy.
So you're saying landscape, like the style?
Yeah,
not like
so I'll do
outside.
stuff of like the cityscape.
Yeah, okay.
Down in the Keys, I'll do.
Oh
you
yeah,
know-
I saw you just posted a video of one of the cityscapes, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, stuff like that. I do mostly for fun.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, but it doesn't really pay.
Sure.
It's
Yeah,
more
yeah,
of
yeah.
my artistic expression.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but that's what I love doing.
Yeah, I mean, for
photography.
me, like real estate, it pays the bills. I will be on. I mean, my passion, I think, is I am an avid movie lover, and I really like.
You're what? Movie lover?
Avid movie lover. Like,
Have you seen Dune 2?
we'll get to that. I'm glad you're
That's
here.
awesome. That was awesome.
It's so good. That's what I was gonna ask you about. So, but yeah, I mean, really, the crux of it, of what I do, like when I water it down, is I like to help people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
before
yeah.
I was doing this, I was working at Jeep, and I've said this plenty of
Yeah.
times to that camera that I'm not trying to throw stones.
Yeah.
It's just not for everybody, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Nothing wrong with it.
no, and the insurance is far better than the zero insurance I have as a realtor. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, but it wasn't for me. I had to get out of there, and I feel like I am a part of the community now.
Yeah.
Where before I felt like I was just making a really good wage.
Yep.
And I gave it a good try. I gave it like the 60, 70-hour work week a try. And
Yeah.
it just
Those
Couldn't
guys
do it.
make good money,
they do.
but quality of life is tough.
Yeah, if it's for you, great. Like if you don't need it, but I need to
80
go.
hours or more a week,
Yeah. Oh gosh, in the last, but I mean, I just really enjoy meeting. Maybe all right, if we're gonna water it down even more, I like helping people, but maybe it's not even movies I like. I'm interested in people's stories.
Yeah.
I love meeting
Yeah.
people.
You're a storyteller.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, in the last 2-3 days, I've met like 6-7 new people that are just super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like the woman from BG that we talked about,
Yep.
her colleague, another guy that does a local podcast. Like, I met a few people at Ernest yesterday playing bingo. Like, it's just
Yeah.
that kind of thing is really neat. And then being able to tell those folks, like, this is also what I do. So,
Yeah.
professionally, if you need anything, let me know. But also, we know we can kind of just hang out and keep talking to each other.
Yeah. Right. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people in life don't really figure out who they are
Sure.
and what
Yeah.
they want. So it's unfortunate because then they spend a lifetime behind a desk when they're not a desk person.
Mhm.
Not that being behind a desk is anything wrong with it, because there are some people that love it because they don't like people or whatever.
Right.
But it's good that you figured out who you are, what you want,
Mm-hmm.
and you're kind of pursuing it.
Well, when we started the podcast, I don't know if it'll make the final cut or not, but we kind of started. We were kind of cold open guys, anyways. But I was talking about how many jobs we had,
Yeah, right.
and that was kind of me trying to figure out what my niche was, and
Yeah.
it kind of got to like the 11th hour. It felt like when I was working at Jeep because we were just trying to have a kid at that point.
Yeah.
And I knew the kind of father I wanted to be.
Yeah.
And it just wasn't that one. I
Yeah.
didn't want to be I didn't want to be just the provider.
Yeah.
So I landed on a thing that I could provide, and also I'm pretty available, and
Mhm.
I get to meet awesome people like yourself whenever, and it's great. I
You
love
seem to have a coming to Jesus talk.
Yeah.
I mean, it's actually, you came to like a pivotal moment where, you had the security. You actually broke at a very good time.
Yeah.
Because you were on the verge of settling,
Mm-hmm.
letting your dreams die,
Right.
or saying, screw it, I'm going to go for it.
Yeah.
And you chose the latter, which is great. Good for
Yeah.
you, because a lot of people don't have the courage to do that.
Yeah.
So they get stuck.
Well, that was kind of my thought. Is I had so many decent jobs. Like I was an electrical apprentice for a spell.
Yeah.
I went to college for electrical engineering. I was at Jeep. I had a handful of pretty solid jobs. So like in my brain, that's all it was
Sure.
to me. It wasn't a career when I signed up, anyways.
It wasn't a passion.
Right.
Yeah, you could do it probably with your eyes closed.
Right.
Yeah,
And because it was that to me in my brain, which it might be a career that, and people are, I know there's some super Jeepers out there.
Yeah.
And they got ducks just all over the
Oh, yeah.
place. And,
I know.
but
I know a guy that does that.
yeah, but for me, I had to just, I could always go get another job.
Yeah.
There wasn't going to be another shot, especially once I had my son, to be able to dive into this the way I wanted to, where my wife was going to be off for some time and things like that. And
Yeah, no, you did it great. Good for you, man.
yeah.
Seriously.
I am blessed. It worked out better than I could have hoped for. But Yeah, but yeah, I'm a movie freak, and I've talked to my therapist about this. I think I like movies so much because I like hearing people's stories so much.
Yeah.
And that's the way to kind of passively do that is like when I'm at home,
Yeah.
I can see, this thing that is a culmination of stories, the actors, the directors, the cinematographers, the guys, the people that do the scores, all of it kind of comes together. And then when you kind of link that throughout, like, movie history, you can see like, oh, this guy did that, this, and that, I really geek out over it. But also, like, I'm not immune to going and having like a few beers or having a smoke and going and sitting and watching like Fast and the Furious opening night because I know what it is. It's Fast and the Furious. I know what I'm signing up for. But also,
I've never seen Fast and Furious.
Ever?
Oh
my gosh!
I've never seen it.
Just know what it is. It's ridiculous. It's kind of cheesy.
Actually, I take that back. I did see one, but I didn't know it was the Dwayne Johnson and
with Jason
I think
Statham.
I saw that one.
Yeah.
Hobbs
and Shaw, maybe.
Hobbs and Shaw.
Yeah,
I think that was the only one I've seen.
That's like the only one I haven't seen.
That's hilarious. But they must be popular because they keep making them.
Oh, they're so fun.
Yeah.
They're just silly. It's like going on like a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's just we're going to like we went to a monster truck thing over the weekend.
Okay. Yeah.
And like I know what it was gonna be.
Yeah.
I could choose to be upset about it or I could enjoy myself, and I did. So
yeah.
that's kind of how I feel about
It's
the
all
Fast
about
and Furious
choices.
movies. Yeah. But yeah, you kind of brought up Dune a minute ago. I mean, we can totally talk about that for the next 2 hours if you want.
I love that movie. That
Dude, it was great.
Yeah, second was better than the first.
I think
I
so.
love the first two, but like the cinematography in that one, and for me being in the camera and seeing the way they did things, the lighting, the presentation, the perspective, it was just amazing.
Yeah. In the second one, I've watched a lot of like interviews and things like that with the director, and he said that they did everything they could in the second one to shoot with natural light.
Oh,
and
really?
I think that
That's
really
amazing.
shows.
Yeah, I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm.
Natural light,
yeah,
all of it.
They were in the desert shooting that movie.
Wow.
Like he said that the scene where Paul is running along the dune to jump on the worm.
Yeah.
That's all natural, obviously not the worm, but like all of that, and then even to get the dune to collapse. Yeah. They came up with like the other special effects guys come up with a stunt to have all that sand just drop out.
Oh wow.
And have him like the stunt guy jump in.
Wow.
And that's why like that scene is just so like.
Yeah. I think that's why a rabbit hole though, trying to research that, because you're like, you could see. I mean, once you learn about the technique and why they did all that stuff, I mean, you could just go for hours or days,
forever. And that's why I like them so much, because you can just go down like, oh, this is the guy that did stunts for this, or this is the guy that did special effects for this. And special effects have changed so much over the years. Like, you think about old sci-fi, like Star Wars. It's like puppets and miniatures, and now it's whatever Dune's doing, and it's kind of, again, they're kind of in the desert, right? So it's like it's kind of coming full circle, but. Yeah. No, I absolutely loved it. I thought that the acting was, surprisingly good. Like, 'cause I know it's a lot of like A-list actors. Yeah. But that doesn't mean the A-list actors are always the best ones. You know what I mean?
They weren't. I forgot the guy's name. The main character guy. He was in.
Oh, Timothy Chalamet.
He was really good.
He was great.
He was fantastic.
Mm-hmm. I thought that the woman that was in it, Zendaya, was really good. I thought her facial acting was nuts. But no, the camera work and stuff. Another thing I saw that he talked about with that is what he would try and do, and what he tries to do, is shoot people's feet in their hands. It sounds a little like obscure, but
sure. No, I can relate.
Yeah,
I've done that for like wedding. It gives a different perspective.
Yeah, it makes it feel more like intimate.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it does.
So like when he's talking about it, he's like, because you get from him, you get this giant, landscape shot. Yeah. Where you get to see like, him walking up the sand, right, doing his little sand walk, and you get to see everybody kind of in the background looking at him. It
makes you feel closer,
and it gets you the perspective of how big this world is. You're not just like, it's not on a set. Mm-hmm. And then it gives you what he's feeling, and then it goes down to him touching the sand and feeling it, and it's like,
all the reasons behind how he does the shots, you're like, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's so good. I'm such a dork about it. I love it, and I don't know. I think that he's probably, Have you seen a lot of his movies?
No.
I encourage that you watch as many of them as you can because
I'll
he
check it
doesn't miss. Like, he did the new Blade Runner movie, which
I didn't know. Is it out?
yeah, it's when
Like
6,
14 or 15.
14 or 15 was it? That
Oh,
long?
Blade Runner. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 2049. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
now that you mentioned that, yeah, I can totally see the similarities.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
think
that
about
was
like,
awesome.
You think like the CG or the what is it the hologram shot of the woman where she's like pointing down at him.
Mm-hmm.
That's like
Yeah, when she's over the city. And,
yeah, he loves doing those shots. Like, have you seen Arrival?
No.
Arrivals, he does a lot of that stuff in that too. Where he'll have like the person and then like the thing
Yeah.
like looming over, so you can just.
I didn't know he did Blade Runner though. That's cool.
Yeah, he might be. I mean, we were talking about it the other day. He's probably one of the best directors going.
Mm-hmm.
He might have his finger on the pulse of sci-fi. Like,
Yeah, I think so because it seems like he's dialed it in.
mm-hmm.
I mean, he's presenting something in a whole new world.
Yeah,
Than what's currently being done today. I think.
and it's so going through like Dune. There's like 3-4 factions. We'll say I think in the second one there's like 3, but even so, the way that he shoots the environments that they're in makes every single one immediately characterized, but they all feel very unique in that setting. So like when they go to like the black and white planet, that's jarring, but nothing's really that crazy looking. You know what I mean? It all seems kind of like, oh, that guy just has like a crazy outfit on. But it feels so alien because there's nothing here that looks like that.
Right.
It's just and that's what I geek out about, especially because I don't know, like, you know, my camera work is restricted to my forward-facing camera and me stomping through people's houses, you know. So
for now,
yeah.
You gotta when you upgrade and do all that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm sure you'll get there. You're on the right path. I mean, you're gonna evolve and you're gonna learn different techniques when you get your gimbal. And,
sure.
You know, then you're gonna be like, that's the downside of photography because you know, in my business, because I'm like, oh, I could use that.
Yeah,
you know,
you're
or
your
I
own
could
biggest
use
critic.
That. Yeah. Oh yeah. And it just leads you on a path to keep buying more stuff
until you start doing more like artistic stuff, like you saying this is cool. You know, the stuff you're doing is cool, and while I'm sitting here like, we were on our way over here, and I was probably complaining about something that I did. You know, so it's certainly a thing. But I mean, that's kind of it. If you were actually passionate about it, you want it to keep getting better instead of just like, you know, kind of splash around the shallow end.
There's a fine line. I mean, if I wasn't doing this as a business, there's no way I'd have all that gear.
Sure.
You know, because it'd be an expense.
Yeah.
But if it helps me, so with me, I always reinvest in learning and equipment. You know, because if I can produce a better quality product, you know, by either through education or product, then I typically will do it because it's an investment that's going to pay off because it's going to make my clients look better, makes them look more professional, and it kind of keeps me ahead of certain competitors in my head at least. You know, that maybe aren't doing some of the stuff.
I mean, now that I'm thinking about it that way, that's exactly what this is. Like we talked about before we started, I have a podcast that I did prior called the Adventure Rust Podcast. Okay. You know, a little play on words. But I probably had like 40, 50 episodes of that.
Okay.
And then, again, it probably would have just got tossed in the recycling bin, this like knowledge that I have of this cool thing I like, if I didn't pivot and, you know, find a way to make it work with what the thing is that's making money.
Yeah, you're doing it for your business and giving you a little bit more exposure, helping the audience figure out who is Kyle. Yeah.
But it also is easy to convince yourself that, you know, oh, it's making me some money, so.
Yeah, it's easier.
Yeah,
it makes it easier.
Yeah, I got a few hours notched out this week for podcasts, you know.
It's justified. It's legit.
No, this is a lot of fun. I mean, so you work with it's just yourself?
Just myself. I have a photographer in Fort Wayne.
Okay.
And then for me, I pretty much handle everything else. So.
Is that where you're from, or is that just where they're from?
No, that's just.
You're from Sylvania, right?
Yeah, I'm from Sylvania. But right now it's just me, and part of the reason why is because it's very difficult, I think, to find somebody to take the time to train. And you know, I have a certain standard. I have very high standards, you know, and I'm not saying that people aren't as good as me or that I can't teach them to be as good as me or better, but it just takes time and you know, I just don't have a whole lot of time right now to do that. But
Yeah, and to iron out those grooves so that your product stays,
yeah,
you know, the way you want it to be.
yeah, because it's all a reflection on me at the end of the day. If somebody doesn't turn in something,
Yeah.
you know, then the buck stops with me. So if something doesn't happen along my downline or whatever, then it's a reflection. So, and I take that very serious. So,
With that being said, do you ever turn anything away? Like if someone hits you up and you're
Yeah.
like, man, this can't, it's not going to be able to happen.
yeah,
you know?
yeah, I do turn stuff away. Just not that I'm being a jerk or anything.
Sure.
Just, you know, if I don't think I'm a good fit for them, or if I don't feel that we're a good match personally,
Yeah.
then yeah, I'll turn people away. And I'm doing them a favor.
Who are those people? No, I'm just joking. Tell me now.
Who are
No.
those Nobody's
cool,
listening,
man.
right?
Right, right.
But yeah, you know, I'm doing them a favor. I'm doing myself a favor.
Yeah.
And you can't say yes to everybody.
Sure. No, I mean, especially if you heard, you know, it's kind of lined up the way. I mean, it's the same for me. Like I'm a solo agent.
Yeah.
So there comes days where I have like, you know, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however many showings I have.
Right.
And someone gives me like a tug on the shirt, like, hey, can we go see this one? Like, can't. I mean, if you want to, we could. Maybe tomorrow where I can have someone meet you there.
Right.
It's not going to be me. And to your point, most people would rather wait for me than that.
Yeah.
It's challenging in our business, though, because the inventory is so low.
Yeah. Yeah, I get that.
So turning those things away, it's like we can go tomorrow or, you know, and what's today, Friday? We can go tomorrow or Sunday.
Yeah.
It might be gone.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so it's just kind
But
of challenging.
if your pipeline is full, for me at least, I don't think I would be doing current people that I work with justice, you know, spreading myself out too thin.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather be really good at, you know, servicing a certain group of people than being useless to a bunch of people.
Yeah.
You know,
So you kind of talked about education a little bit too. I'm kind of curious about that.
yeah.
So do you just kind of hold yourself to that own standard, or is there like certain, like, do you have to have certain licenses, or is it just like,
No,
I'm gonna do with a
so-
camera that takes super awesome pictures and videos?
So I try to surround myself with courses, with best people in the world that are doing this stuff, and you know, so I invest in the education that way, and then just being committed to it. So you know, there's a bunch of material out there that you can learn. You could, you know, do this easily, you know, if you applied yourself and were committed, but not everybody's committed.
Threw
as you
50
know.
grand at it.
Yeah, well, that's
I'm just kidding.
Just
Yeah.
50 grand, you'll be fine.
I'm just joking.
But no, that would help. No,
Sure.
but you know, at the end of the day, you have 50 grand worth of equipment, but if you don't know how to use it,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
it's useless. So for me, at least, I try to invest as much in myself. And I love learning this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's not like, oh gosh, I got to pick up a camera today, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what else can I do? And I learn stuff all the time, you know, still. So that I can use to apply to certain types of content that I want to create. I've got some great stuff coming out.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's just nobody's doing it, and it's just you'll see the stuff coming out, but it's just amazing.
Do you have like any local or maybe online or otherwise like mentors that kind of set the next track of the railway for you to like, this is what's, you know, the next thing, this is what I need to be learning?
Yeah. So all of my, I guess, mentors, they're not really mentors. They're more buddies that are in the industry.
Sure.
They're all online in
Okay.
different parts of the world. So
Yeah.
Australia, you know, just Canada, all over the country. And what we do is we get together and we talk about different things, and that's who I learn from. We learn from each other, but
Yeah.
I want to be the dumbest guy in the group.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that way I can learn what they're doing. And when you're in a when you're in a group of people that share information, it's easy because then I can go, okay, I can bring that to this market that nobody's doing,
Yeah.
and apply it. And
It's a powerful thing, man. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know if you're hip, but John was in that seat about, I don't know, an hour and a half ago at this point. And last week, there was a big settlement with our industry,
Yeah.
and
Sure.
on Wednesday, so 5 days later, we have like some of the best agents, not even just in our office, but in like our area,
Yeah.
upstairs in the conference room. There's probably
That's great.
25, 30 of us
Wow.
doing exactly what you're saying, talking about
Yep.
how it's going to affect us negatively. And then once we kind of, vented a bit, it turned into it's going to happen one way or another.
Right.
Then we started collaborating like you guys do and figuring out the best course of action to make ourselves better.
Yep.
To better serve our communities at
Yep.
the end of the day. So I can totally empathize with that. That's cool. How did you meet those guys? Did you guys like have you met
Just get
like just
together.
traveling around or
No, just all through online.
Yeah.
So through where we're taking various courses and stuff like that.
Okay.
So we just just same thing like if we're taking a class,
Mhm.
you're gonna get to know the people around you.
Yeah.
And you just share information and content. But I'm of the mindset of change.
Yeah.
You can't be constant.
Mm-mm.
Not in this industry, not in the digital world. You'll get
No.
buried, and that's where I see kind of some people just sticking to tried and true. But with me, I like to adapt and change and implement. So I think that's what will help me for longevity.
I think that especially when it comes to like digital art, I
Yeah.
think that keeps it fun. I'm not that I even practice it, but I really like to try and think about what the fuel is to certain people's fire.
Yeah.
Because the change happens so frequently, you're always given like a new thing. Like this is the hot new thing, or maybe it's not. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's just gonna flounder out, and the new hot thing's next week.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you are right on that. I think trends, they come and go.
Sure.
But marketing digitally, I don't think is going to change.
No.
And I think people that don't utilize and capitalize on all the digital marketing, which is free,
Right.
as long as you know how to, create the content, or it's a small investment, but once you have that digital asset, you can use it forever.
Forever.
Yep. And then the cost to market that, if you talk about viral platforms like TikTok and Instagram and Facebook,
Right.
compared to print or radio or TV, which only show limited amounts of times,
Yep.
right? It's golden. So Gary V, if you're familiar, Gary V?
Maybe. What's
Gary Vanderchuck, I believe. Is
Oh
his-
yeah, I've heard his name. Yeah.
So he's a big social media influencer, and he knows what he's talking about. But it's all this content that you like. This is content.
Yeah.
You're creating it right now, right?
Mhm.
That you can you do it once, but you can use it over and over and over
Yep.
again, and that's better than any paid
100%.
content that you could buy.
It's far more efficient.
Yeah.
We have audio. It's gonna go on Spotify, iTunes, Podbean, all that stuff.
You just upload it. It
Yep.
gets shot out.
YouTube. You can chop it up and change the landscape format of the shots too.
Right.
Portrait.
Right.
And just crop it a little bit. There's TikToks, your shorts, your reels, all that stuff, and
I think the agents that are investing in the digital world are going to be light years ahead of the people that go, oh, this is important, we should start doing it.
sure.
Because they're going to amass a library of digital assets.
Oh, 100%. And I don't know. We've been going for how long? Have we been going?
50.
Well, okay, so there's not too many people that are probably here at 50 minutes. But so I'll air out some of my stuff.
Yeah.
My thought with it, especially with this new lawsuit thing, and we're gonna have to, as buyers agents, even like showcase what we do more often than we ever have. And I think that's gonna make even list agents have to do things differently. But getting this, Rolodex of my walkthroughs and things like that, I can go to people and be like, "This was up for 2 days and has 2,000 views."
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
You know what I mean? And this is someone else's house. I can do this with your house. I'm going to send mailers to everybody.
Yeah.
It's also going to go into the MLS. It's going to be peddled by 2,000 other agents.
Right.
If there's anybody that's going to buy your house for the price that we're landing on, we're going to find them. You know what I mean?
I think, it's... So I use my portfolio quite a bit to show people what I can do, versus me telling you I do photos.
Sure.
You're like, okay, I'll tell you I do photos. You're like, okay, great.
Yeah.
And then in your mind, that is whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if I can show you these are the photos I do, these are the videos I do, you're like, oh, it gives it a different perspective. So if you build up a library of different content of how you market, it's going to be easier, I think, to win deals because you have something to show of an example of.
100%. I just talked about that with the woman in Bowling Green, like, because we were, as much as I do enjoy this, the editing and back end stuff, it becomes a bit cumbersome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Especially with 2 kids, and one's 3 and one's 4 months old.
And you got a business that you're running.
Exactly. Yeah. And I like movies a lot too, so I gotta find time for that.
Dune is like a 3-hour movie
too.
Yeah,
seriously. So something's got to give.
Right.
But no, she was telling me that we could basically utilize like any like students that we wanted to like be interns. I'm like, that's so cool, because then like
heck yeah,
they could leave, not that like, this podcast is the biggest thing on the planet, but they could at least have like, instead of just going to a job with their diploma,
right, they
can in turn go to the job with their diploma and also pull up like, I did these 14 episodes also.
Yeah, I'd hire that person over someone that just graduated with saying they can figure out how to do podcasts or they've heard of them.
Yeah, here it is. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, so I mean, to your point, I think that's
absolutely.
I think that's a great thing, and it's like and it's called memory, right? But it's also like an online like catalog. It's like all of the stuff we can just do instead of showing up with like a binder of stuff. Yeah. I can shoot it over to you. You can see it. You can check it out. Tell me what you like about this video, what you don't like. We can cater to you.
Right.
It's a lot of fun.
When you can show it, it kind of takes it helps people connect the dots a lot quicker. Yeah. As far as what you can do, what you're capable of doing.
Well, yeah, because until then it's kind of just, they're trying to play pretend with something that they've never even done before, especially with what we do. Right. If I go in there and say, I'm gonna have a guy come out here that's gonna shoot the best pictures of your house that you've ever seen, they're gonna be like, I've never seen anybody take pictures of my house, so I don't even know what that means. You know what I mean? Right. Where in turn, if I pull out something that you've done in the past, I'm like, this could be our place. Yeah. This is what it's gonna look like when we're done. It's gonna be exactly perfect and all that. Then it's way, way, way different.
Or if you're against another agent for this house, and the agent has only taken cell phone photos. Right. He goes, this is how I'm gonna come out here. I'm gonna take some photos, and bada bing, bada boom, we're done. Right. Where you go out there and go, yep, I'm Kyle. This is my portfolio of how I market homes. They've got a visual representation of what you can do. Yeah. They're gonna go with you just 100%. Off a presentation. You don't even have to say anything. I'm Kyle. This is what I do. Yeah. And you don't have to sell them because the portfolio will sell itself.
The biggest thing, and as soon as you said it, I was just imagining them showing like them taking a picture of the bathroom and them being in the picture. Like that's always like kind of the joke.
Yeah, that's right.
I do not know, and I think it's kind of funny, so I lean into it a little bit. Yeah. When I'm shooting my like little video walkthroughs, I do not know how to get around that. Yeah. Because I want to show the bathrooms, but I'm not trying to spend forever in there. So I pop in there, and I just always make a funny face in the mirror, and then I run out. Because otherwise it's gonna be awkward.
Watch your videos now and look for that.
Yeah, it's in all of them because it's just silly. Like I'll do like a silly like face, or I'll just be like, let's keep going kind of thing. But because otherwise it's just gonna look like some goofball just walking in and out of there. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I try and like keep it fun. But
at least you're aware of it and you make fun of it, which is good instead of being oblivious to it. Sure.
Well, it's the only fix I can think of because, like we said, we're kind of our own biggest critics, and I'm like, dude, I look like an absolute idiot, just like moseying through the bathroom, and then you know what I mean, and then there's my dumb face walking back out of it. So
that's all right. I love it actually. That's funny.
But no, this.
It'd be funny if you did when you walk by the mirror, you just film the mirror and you're shirtless or something like
that. Oh, that'd be good. Well, it's been someone else's house though, so I want it to be like some kind of professional. Or have a completely different outfit. I don't even know what, like a mascot suit on. Yeah. That'd be fun if I could get some like higher, like if I had like a higher end house,
videos like that,
and they have like Muddy walk through the house or something.
So one of my buddies actually that's in this group did a video around Christmas with the Grinch guy in a Grinch suit.
That's fun.
It was awesome.
One of the podcast episodes I did it with
the cookies and drinking the milk out of the fridge. That is cool. Awesome.
I'll have to keep that in mind. That's a fun idea. One of the podcast episodes we did with a guy. He is Santa Claus. Yeah. And I was just sitting up one night, and it was in the wee hours of the night, and I was like, dude, wouldn't it be fun if I had Santa Claus on the podcast? Or I was thinking like, man, how do people get into being Santa Claus? Like, how does that even happen? Do they just have the look? And that kind of snowballed into like, dude, what if the guy came on as Santa Claus? And then I was like, well, I don't want to just have some guy. Anybody can dress up as him, right? So I didn't go down like the Google rabbit hole. I'm like, best Santa Clauses in the area. And this guy pops up, and he is statistically, when he came on, he was statistically the number 2 Santa Claus in the country.
Oh, really? Wow.
Dude, go back and watch the episode. This guy was amazing. He was so good. He used to own a couple of comedy stores around town. And the dude was just all charisma.
Yeah.
And it's not like...
It's hilarious.
Yeah, and it's not like... very few times have I done this, and has anyone been more comfortable in front of the microphone than me.
Sure, yeah.
And that dude absolutely he stole the show. He navigated all of it. Huh. He got every camera and my brother involved. He's telling me like how he's doing stuff, and it was just it was a unique experience. The guy was just all showbiz, man. He was funny. He was great.
That's hilarious.
So, but yeah, go back and check that out. Christmas in July or whatever's coming up. But no, he's really funny. But yeah, before we kind of wrap up, I mean, if anybody wanted to like maybe get into kind of what you do.
Yeah.
They see your work and like, man, that's really cool. Like, so I always ask this question too, because I'm a part of the Family Consumer Sciences Committee for TPS.
Okay.
So then when those kids are like, I want to get into photography, I'm like, I know exactly how to do it.
I think that's a great thing that you're doing, because I think should probably be in a whole nother podcast, to be honest with you. But, I usually don't take students, and the reason why is because of liability.
Sure.
But if they graduate and they want to get in touch with me, look me up on Facebook.
Yeah.
Or just under my name, Dave Riethmiller, or the company Photo House Photography. And that's usually the best way. But we can touch on it.
Yeah.
I think it's great that if schools can incorporate certain trades.
Yeah.
Because not everyone is built for college.
Sure.
Not everyone can afford college.
Mm-hmm.
So what that does is it gives people that are more creative thinkers, another avenue to make a living, have a great life, where they're not stuck at a factory job where they hate working 80 hours.
Because they don't know any other options.
They don't know any other options.
Yeah.
Exactly.
100%. That's why so for example, I've referred out a little bit of commercial business, but I'm going to start leaning into that kind of education. Because the way I see certain things going is like myself and yourself and anyone else that I've had on this podcast is that I think that from like a certain age on, everybody kind of wants to just have their own thing. It's just nice to not have your own boss. That's for one, and then for two, you feel those people's passion like kind of coming out of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And those people need spaces.
Yeah.
And those people, there's gonna be more of those people, I think, because that's just gonna keep catching fire.
Right.
And I want to be able to serve those people the same way I do like a homeowner.
I think that's great. I think Toledo needs something like that.
Yeah.
Because they do kind of have some creative outlets are starting to emerge in Toledo.
Yeah.
But I think there should be a lot more.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, they're almost like very niche. Like we were invited to go to that Film Toledo. It's like a nonprofit organization. We've been to that a couple of times, and it almost feels like where was that? We went to Toledo Spirits.
The name of the bar?
Yeah,
I could not tell you.
I'm pretty sure it was Toledo Spirits. It was like right across from the new Glass City Metro Park on the other side of the river. Anyways, this place didn't. It was like off to the side, and it felt very like
Talking about Toll House.
I'm not sure. I think it is. I think
Toll House.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know they have meetups over there. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of felt very like shunned away and off to the side. Like,
yeah.
I wish it was like more like like at Fleetwood's or something a little bit more like.
It's more underground.
Yeah, it felt kind of underground.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is in my opinion. It's more underground right now.
Yeah.
They're starting to be. They want to be more mainstream.
Yeah.
But at this point, I think it's all underground for the most part.
Because they're awesome people. We met some really cool people there.
Yeah.
It's just we felt like we were kind of like going somewhere we weren't supposed to go, but it was just a bunch of people talking about like film.
It does feel like that.
Yeah, yeah. Like, are you guys here for the thing? I'm like,
Speakeasy.
Yeah, are you here for the thing?
Yeah, absolutely speakeasy. That's exactly how it feels.
Into it.
What?
Sure they do.
With the brick walls and another example of it being kind of niche is this kind of arts kind of thing. I mean, I applied for a scholarship to go to the Toledo Museum of Art to take some classes for a few weeks.
Yeah.
No idea that it existed. My aunt found some advertisement somewhere off to the side.
Okay.
Anybody can apply though, but it's one of those things where it's like, how do you find out that
Yeah.
I could go to the Toledo Museum of Art for 5 weeks to
Yeah.
learn?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's not just that it's not available; it's that it's not known if
It's
it's available.
underground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very underground because it's not like Chicago where arts are more appreciated.
And more part
This
of
is
the culture.
I think
Yeah.
it's mostly a blue collar town
Yeah.
where they don't. I don't want to say they don't appreciate it. It's just not front and center.
Maybe they don't celebrate it quite the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
an art district in Chicago.
Huh?
There's an art district.
Yeah,
in
Chicago. The whole city's a masterpiece
Oh,
of the
God.
buildings.
I mean, yeah. Have you ever done that architecture tour?
Yeah.
Dude.
On the boats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's so awesome.
That's
I love
awesome.
it. It's so cool.
I'll show you photos. I got photos.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yours are probably better than mine.
Probably.
But so when we were kind of talking about the family consumer science thing, we were that's exactly why I kind of got into it though, was because so I graduated from START in 2011, and when I was there, that was kind of the only real options that we were kind of given is
right.
college or get into like a trade.
Yes.
But the trade is like electrical, carpentry, something like that. But we even had photography, but it wasn't even like there wasn't any avenue to get to the next rung of the ladder. It was just like, oh, well, we know you like to take pictures.
Yeah.
Good luck, I think.
Because they don't really teach you how to make money.
Right.
They teach you maybe the general settings and the mechanics of it, but they don't show you the business side because a lot of people don't know how to do that.
Right.
And that's the trick.
Yeah, was being able to marry the two of them, and that's exactly what I tell these kids. So like, the first time I went, the message because the teacher wanted me to kind of explain how to get into real estate.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that. So I talked for an hour about anything else. My icebreaker question was, do you believe in ghosts? Yeah. I really wanted to like kind of get the kids' guards down, and I fed them and stuff. But then what I wanted them to walk away with was, you're going to do a bunch of jobs that you're not really excited about, but don't lose sight of what you do love.
Mm-hmm.
So like while you're doing these little jobs, just treat those as rungs on the ladder to get to your next goal. Like when I was at Jeep, I was like, I'm working all this overtime so I can pay to get my real estate license.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
it's not cheap.
No, and even so, even though it's not cheap, I don't know. I'm not gonna jump into the business and sell. I'll sell.
Right,
I'm gonna need some overhead.
Right.
So a lot of it was that too. But then I was like, what the goal is, or at least what it was for me, and what I think it is for most folks, is being able to marry what you're passionate about and the business side of things. Yeah. So that when you roll out of bed, you're not going to work. You're just doing what you do.
Yeah.
You are photographer, videography. I am realtor. Like this is like I haven't been home since like 8:00 this morning, and I haven't felt like I've worked it yet.
Right.
Like it's a blast.
Yeah.
And
it's not work when you love what you do.
No.
Do what you love.
And that's what I tell these kids. And these kids too. It's the tough thing is like they are like these COVID kids, they call them, because they miss so much school because of COVID. But to your point, which back to the kind of like the digital art style. Yeah. These kids are super creative.
Yeah. Oh,
and I was stunned how definitely they knew what they were gonna do, but it wasn't something that was like, what you would expect. Yeah. Like one kid who had like a bandana on and kind of had like the skater vibe to him. I'm like, what do you want to be? And he's like, I want to be a psychiatrist. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. And it was just all over the spectrum when they were talking about what they want to do. Like one guy's like, I want to get into carpentry. I just like working with wood and building things with my hands. Mm-hmm. I always had Legos when I was a kid. Like they just,
kids are smart.
They're so smart. Well, they have, you got to figure like we have the internet now. Yeah. But we haven't had the internet our whole lives. Right. They've had an almost infinite amount of information since they could start processing it. Right. Yeah. So like we were talking a little bit about like, okay, so photography, right? Mm-hmm. When would you say, if you could think about it, when did you start taking pictures? So
my story is a little different, but probably later in life is when I started taking photos. Sure. But when I was younger, mm-hmm. I always had, I'll tell you, my first love of photography, I didn't know it was photography. It was when I was younger. I was standing outside waiting for the school bus in the morning. And I could always tell the clouds, the light looked different, and I always was mesmerized by it.
Yeah.
And then later in life, I always had a different lens when I looked at things.
Sure.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting or whatever. But I never listened to it because I was like, who's going to make money doing photography?
Sure.
Get a real job.
Yeah.
So later in life, then I picked up the camera and then pursued it. And then that's when I listened to what I was going to do. But it wasn't until later in life after corporate jobs and all that other stuff.
So, and you're still awesome at it. So that, it worked out. You definitely have a knack for it.
Yeah, thank you.
But that's the thing is that these kids have these phones that we talked about that we're recording on.
Yeah.
They grow up with that stuff.
Yeah.
They've been making videos and photography forever.
If I had somebody when I was their age telling me that you could do this and whatever, that would have been a game changer for me.
Yeah, like we would watch, for myself, I would watch like Power Rangers and X-Men and stuff like that when I was a kid. And I'd sit around and just do it like in the like front room or whatever.
Right.
But now these kids are like, oh, I'll make a TikTok. It'll be fun. I like what I like. This YouTuber's doing this. I'm going to do this. Yeah. And they know how to do it.
Some of them are making crazy money doing it.
Yeah. But then they get to like a certain point, whether it's like, media communications or whatever, and they get there, and then this person who is like their educator, I talked to one of the people that's in Bowling Green about it. Right. See, I've been doing video and photography for 30 years, and this kid who's 20 is going to get here and tell me I've been doing video and photography for 20 years too. And you know what I mean? Like, it's
That's
not
an interesting perspective, but it's totally true.
Yeah, it's not wrong, but it is different.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, because like it's nuts. Like my 3-year-old knows how to cast things to the TV. Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, I learned how to do that like 4 years ago. Yeah. So.
I stopped playing kids on video games. Many years ago because they grew up with a joystick in their hand, and I was playing Pong when it first came out. Sure. And they just kill me. It's humiliating. But you're right. They're so much more advanced on this stuff than we are. So,
and again, you kind of you lose some things, and I don't know. That's a whole nother thing. Is maybe their hands are a little softer. They can't do like some other things that they need to do as far as like working and things like that.
They just have different skills. But what I do like about specifically what you're doing is you're giving kids. Specifically, I think more in like the inner city, where the graduation rate is maybe 60% not graduating, 40%, or 70-30 not graduating, 30% graduating, giving those people an opportunity to express themselves, and potentially make a living. Then they potentially will give a crap about things in life. And
I'll even take it a step further than the diploma. I'll even say even if they didn't graduate, I want to try and give them the confidence to go explore other options. Yeah. It's okay for your parents to say that you shouldn't do this, and then you try and do it anyway. Yeah. Yeah. And then even if you fail, like you at least tried it. Like that there's other avenues. Like like I said earlier, you can always go get another job. Yeah. But you don't know if thing's not going to be your career until you try it. Right. Yeah. So I really like it. And we didn't have anything like that when I was in school. And in the last year, my biggest mentor in high school passed away. So I almost felt like I should try and do this. Yeah. I've always kind of dabbled in it, but also that was maybe my okay, this person's gone from the earth who meant so much to so many people. Yeah. I might not be able to fill his shoes totally, but I can at least try and give something.
You owe that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. I'm having fun with what I'm doing. It's a blast. Meeting folks, meeting kids, and just it's easy. It's fun.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
Yeah. But you kind of told people where they can find, if they want to kind of get started. But, if anybody's interested, if there's any other agents watching and you guys have seen some of his work, where can they find you at? And kind of go ahead and plug yourself. Shameless plug time. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, yeah. The best way is on Facebook, to be honest with you. Just look me up. If you want to put my name down below.
Yeah, I'll tag you in everything, yeah.
That's usually just message me. Let me know what you got going on. Or you can go to photohousephotography.com. Check me out there. But usually with my agents, they just reach out to me, and then we just schedule something. I like to schedule everything, directly, so that way I have a personal connection.
What was the turnaround time again? You said it a little bit earlier, but just
next day by 8:00 in the morning, typically.
Beautiful. This has been a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on the
Yes,
show.
thank
I
you so
appreciate
much.
it. Great.
If anybody needs anything, buying, selling, investing, if your furnace goes out and you need anything, a little bit of photography for your house, please let me know. I'd love to help you guys out. And, thank you again for coming on, and thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye. Yeah, man, that was good.
Yeah, thanks, man. Hope we did.